I heard it before she knew I was home. I am leaving him, Mom. I cannot stay married to a schoolteacher with hands like a carpenter anymore. I deserve more. Tyler says I can co-host his podcast. The grocery bag in my hand suddenly felt twice as heavy. A carton of milk. A few apples. The expensive chocolate-covered almonds Madison always asked for. My body stayed still in the hallway, but my mind ran ahead of me, sorting through every word. And honestly, Madison went on, using that flat, dismissive tone she saved for talking about me with her mother. I do not want to drag him along when I launch my lifestyle channel. I need freedom, financial and social. Patricia's voice crackled through the speakerphone. Darling, I told you from the beginning he was a stepping stone. A decent man, but not husband material for someone like you. You need connections. Ambition. I know, Mom. You were right. Madison laughed, light and girlish, the same laugh I once loved. Now it rang hollow. Anyway, I already found us an apartment. Tyler is helping with the deposit. I am telling Jake tomorrow. I set the groceries on the hall table as quietly as I could. Water dripped from my jacket and pooled around my boots. I turned, eased the door open, and slipped back out without a sound. Only when I reached my workshop did I let myself think. I sat in the mahogany chair I had been building on weekends for months. No yelling, no scene, no broken plates. Just a hard, clean calm settling in while I watched rain pour off the gutters I had installed last summer. Oddly, my first thought was not about Madison's plan or the marriage falling apart. I heard Grandpa Walter's voice in my head from the day before he passed, his old hand gripping mine with surprising strength. Patience, Jake. Make the right move at the right time. That is how the Reeds have lasted. I was 40 years old, and I was about to find out if I had any of him in me. The next morning, Madison walked into the kitchen in the silk robe I bought for our 5th anniversary. Blonde hair perfect, even fresh out of bed. I was dressed for work like always, button-down shirt and slacks, pouring coffee. She stopped short when she saw me. She must have thought I would be gone already. Morning, Madison, I said, keeping my voice even. Coffee? Sure, she said, studying my face. I slid a cup across the counter. She held it like it might break. Jake, we need to talk. I figured, I said and took a sip. About you leaving me? Her eyes went wide. The cup froze halfway to her lips. How did you? I came home early yesterday, I said. Heard you on speaker with your mother. Oh, the word just hung there. To her credit, she did not lie or try to spin it. She pulled her shoulders back and looked me in the eye. Then you know, she said. I think we should get divorced. I agree, I said. That was not the script she expected. She had prepared for tears, for begging, maybe a fight. Calm threw her off. You agree? Yes. We want different things. No point dragging it out. She hesitated, then tried for a soft landing. We could do this amicably. No drawn-out court battle. No mess. Fine by me, I said. You can have everything. The house, the car, the dog, even that dinnerware set of your mother's you like. Her eyes narrowed. Everything, everything. I do not want any of it. I will take my tools and my personal things. A flicker of triumph flashed across her face before she smoothed it into concern. That is very generous, Jake. Are you sure? I am sure, I said. I rinsed my mug and set it in the sink. I will move out this weekend. I can stay with Adam for a while. She nodded, relief in the set of her shoulders. I think that is best. I already spoke with a lawyer. He can draft the papers. If we both agree, this could be finished within a month. Perfect, I said, taking my keys. Text me the details. I need to get to school. I was almost to the door when she called after me. Jake, are you okay? I gave her a small smile. I will be, Madison. We both will. The confused look on her face as I closed the door was the first truly satisfying moment I had felt in months. On the drive to Rochester East High School, a light drizzle began, matching my mood. The parking lot was half empty. I was earlier than usual. I sat in the car for a minute, watched the raindrops wander down the windshield, and thought about the strange conversation that had just ended my marriage. 8 years, wrapped up in less than 5 minutes over coffee. No shouting, no crying, just logistics. It should have felt wrong or tragic. Instead, it felt like setting down a heavy box I had been carrying for too long. I unlocked my classroom. It was dark and quiet. I flipped on the lights. Posters of historical figures and maps lined every wall. My classroom was my sanctuary, the one place where I felt fully in control and fully myself. The first students would not arrive for an hour, so I used the time to grade papers. Read, comment, mark. The rhythm steadied me. By the time the first bell rang, I had almost set aside the wreckage of my marriage. Almost. "Mr. Reed, are you okay?" The voice came from Ava Collins, one of my sharpest students, as the class filed in for first period. "I am fine, Ava," I said, managing a real smile. "Just a little tired." "You look different today," she said, setting her books down. "Like something changed." Teenagers can read adults better than most adults can. "Nothing important," I told her. Now, who can explain the significance of the Treaty of Versailles? Teaching carried me through the day. Inside those four walls, I was not the soon-to-be divorced husband. I was Mr. Reed, the history teacher who helped kids make sense of the past. It was the role I chose for myself, separate from my family name or whatever inheritance might one day come my way. It felt honest in a way Madison never really understood or respected. During my free period, I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Madison and 1 text message. "Mark Atwood's office, Thursday at 3 o'clock. Please confirm you can make it." I typed one word, "confirmed," and put the phone away. No reason to prolong any of this. Clean. Quick. Done. Mark Atwood turned out to be exactly the kind of attorney I expected Madison to hire. Perfect suit, iron grip handshake, and a practiced smile that stopped before it reached his eyes. His downtown office was all glass and chrome, with a view of the Rochester skyline that seemed built to make clients feel small. "Mr. Reed," he began, sliding a stack of documents toward me. "These are fairly straightforward. As per your agreement with Mrs. Reed, you are relinquishing all claims to the marital home, vehicles, and joint accounts. You are also agreeing to waive any claim to alimony." I skimmed each page. "And Madison keeps her retirement accounts. I keep mine." "That is correct," he said. "Given your profession, I imagine hers is more substantial." The condescension was almost funny, if he only knew. "Anything else?" I asked. Mark glanced at Madison. She sat primly beside me, ankle crossed, designer purse in her lap. "There is the matter of future earnings," he said smoothly. "Mrs. Reed is on the verge of some exciting career opportunities that could significantly increase her income. We would like assurance you will not make claims against those earnings later." I fought back a smile. Of course, Tyler's podcast must be quite promising. Madison stiffened. Mark recovered. "Among other opportunities, yes. So you agree?" "Absolutely. I want nothing from Madison's future, and I trust she wants nothing from mine." "That is the idea," he said. "A clean break." He placed a pen in front of me. I took my time, reading every line, then signed where indicated. When I finished, I passed the stack back. "We will file these with the court tomorrow," Mark said. "Given the uncontested nature, everything should be finalized within a few weeks." "Excellent," I said, standing and offering my hand. "Thank you for making this painless." He looked almost disappointed as we shook. Men like him make their living on conflict. An amicable divorce is not a big payday. Madison walked me to the elevator. Away from her lawyer's eyes, her expression slipped. "I never meant to hurt you, Jake." "I know," I said. "You meant to use me until something better came along." Color rose in her cheeks. "That is not fair, is it?" The elevator doors opened. I stepped in. "Goodbye, Madison. I hope you find what you are looking for." As the doors slid shut on her stricken face, I allowed myself a private, quiet smile. Phase 1 was complete. The next few weeks became a lesson in careful appearances. I moved into my brother's old hunting cabin outside town, though I told everyone I was crashing in his spare room. I drove my backup vehicle, a rusted pickup with manual windows and no air conditioning. I wore my oldest clothes, let my beard grow in, and looked like a man who had lost everything and stopped caring. Madison saw me once by accident at a discount grocery store. I was loading bags into the truck when her sleek BMW pulled in. We met eyes across the lot. She wore oversized sunglasses and a silk scarf over her hair, like a movie star trying not to be seen. I gave a small nod, climbed into the truck, and pulled away. That evening she texted, "Jake, are you doing okay for money? I can help if you need it." The irony almost made me laugh. I did not answer. Students noticed the changes, the beard, the worn shirts, the tired eyes. Whispers in the hall. Kind glances from a few colleagues. One afternoon the principal called me in. "Mr. Reed," said Principal Dana Brooks, "do you have a minute?" Jake, Principal Dana Brooks said, motioning to the chair across from her desk. Have a seat. I sat. She folded her hands, calm as ever. I have noticed some changes lately. If you are dealing with anything personal, the school can help. Counseling, time away if you need it. I appreciate that, I said. Madison and I are getting divorced. It is amicable. I moved out while we get things settled. Dana nodded, concerned but never condescending. One of the many reasons I respected her. I understand. Your work has not suffered. If anything, a few colleagues say your teaching feels even more engaged. She was right. There was a different kind of air in my lungs now that I was not carrying Madison's constant expectations. In the classroom, I could be entirely present. No bracing for criticism at home. No measuring myself against some polished, imaginary version of a husband on her phone screen. Thank you, I said. Teaching has been my anchor. Good, she said. Do not forget the school community is here for you, Jake. I left her office feeling two things at once: gratitude for decent people, and a sting of guilt about the picture I was painting in public. The divorce was real. The rough edges I showed the world were part of a plan. Good people like Dana did not deserve to worry, but the disguise was necessary. Another line on the ledger of what Madison's choices had cost. 2 days after I signed the divorce paperwork, my phone rang. It is time, Mr. Reed, said a crisp voice I remembered from childhood. Samuel Whitaker, my grandfather's attorney. The waiting period has elapsed, he said. Your divorce will be final shortly. Your grandfather's instructions can now be carried out. We agreed to meet at the old private bank downtown, the one the Reed family had used for generations. The place was marble floors and oak panels, all quiet wealth, nothing like the glass tower where I had signed my marriage away. Whitaker met me in a private conference room with a leather portfolio waiting on the table. He stood and shook my hand. Jake, it is good to see you. You favor your grandfather more every year. Thank you, I said, taking my seat. I appreciate you keeping this discreet. Discretion is the Reed way, he said, opening the portfolio. Your grandfather was very specific. He wanted the family legacy protected, and that included the name strategy we discussed. The name change, I said. That was his idea too? He nodded. Indeed. When you told him about your concerns early in your marriage, he called it a precaution. Reverting to your mother's maiden name, Reed, was a way to shield the assets until they could be fully secured. My mind went back 5 years. I had been married to Madison for only a year, and already I could feel her restless comparison game. The glamorous lives she studied online, the quiet dismissal of our own. Grandpa Walter had listened, then suggested I make the legal shift to Reed, the maternal line, and keep the family business under that umbrella until the time was right. The trust is substantial, Whitaker said, laying out documents. Your grandfather invested well to the very end. The portfolio includes multiple properties across the Northeast, significant equities, and the Reed Family Foundation. I scanned the pages. Zeros stacked up until the numbers blurred. 8 figures. More money than I could ever spend. And the condition? I asked. Met, he said. Once the court finalizes the divorce next week, Madison has no claim to anything bearing the Reed name. At that point, the trust fully activates. Whitaker slid a small envelope across the table. Your grandfather also left this to be delivered when the trust activates. It felt heavier than it should. Inside was a single key and a handwritten note in the square, steady letters I knew so well. Jake, if you are reading this, you showed the patience and judgment a Reed should. The key opens the lake house study. What you find there is your true inheritance. Use it well. I am proud of you. Grandpa. I placed the note back in the envelope and breathed out. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. What happens next? Now you decide your pace, he said. The foundation will need attention, board meetings, investment decisions. None of it is urgent. Your grandfather made sure operations would run smoothly through any transition. I thought for a moment. I would like to stay quiet for now, at least until the divorce is completely final. Of course, he said. There is one complication. He handed me another sheet. The foundation's annual gala is next month. As the new head of the Reed family, your presence will be expected. I looked at the invitation, the Reed Cultural Heritage Foundation Annual Gala. Black tie. The usual crowd, local politicians, business owners, and people who live for evenings like that. Jake, Principal Dana Brooks said, motioning toward the chair in front of her desk. Please sit down. I took the seat. She laced her fingers together, steady and kind. I have noticed changes lately. If anything personal is going on, we can help. Counseling. Time away. Whatever you need. I appreciate that, I said. Madison and I are divorcing. It is amicable. I moved out while we sort everything. Dana gave a slow nod, worried, but never talking down to me. That was one of the reasons I respected her. I understand. Your work has not slipped. If anything, a few colleagues say you seem even more locked in with your classes. She was not wrong. Without Madison's constant pressure in my ear, I could breathe in the classroom. I was present with the kids. I was not bracing for criticism when I got home or measuring myself against some perfect husband she pieced together from social media. Thank you, I said. Teaching has been my steady ground. Good, she said. Remember, the school community is here for you. I walked out of her office carrying two feelings at the same time. I was grateful for decent people. I also felt a pinch of guilt for the picture I was letting everyone see. The divorce was real. The rough edges were part of a plan. People like Dana did not deserve to worry, but the disguise mattered. Another tally under the cost of Madison's choices. 2 days after I signed the divorce papers, my phone rang. It is time, Mr. Reed, a crisp voice said. I knew it right away. Samuel Whitaker, my grandfather's attorney. The waiting period has passed, he said. Your divorce will be final shortly. Your grandfather's instructions may now be executed. We set a meeting at the old private bank downtown, the same bank our family had used for generations. Marble floors, oak paneling, quiet money. It felt nothing like the glass tower where I signed my marriage away. Whitaker met me in a private room. A leather portfolio sat on the table. He stood, shook my hand, and smiled. Jake, good to see you. You look more like your grandfather every year. Thank you, I said, sitting. I appreciate the discretion. Discretion is the Reed way, he said, opening the portfolio. Your grandfather left very specific directions. He wanted the family legacy guarded. That included the name plan we discussed. The name change? I asked. That came from him too? He nodded. Yes. When you told him your concerns early in the marriage, he called it a precaution. Switching to your mother's maiden name, Reed, was a way to shield assets until they were fully secured. My mind jumped back 5 years. 1 year into the marriage, and I could already feel Madison's restlessness, the constant comparing, her screen full of people with shinier lives. Grandpa Walter listened, then told me to make the legal move to Reed and keep the family business tucked under that banner until the time was right. The trust is significant, Whitaker said, setting papers in front of me. Your grandfather invested well right up to the end. The holdings include several properties across the Northeast, substantial stock positions, and the Reed Family Foundation. I read the pages. The zeros ran together until my eyes blurred. 8 figures. More than I would ever need. And the condition? I asked. Met, he said. Once the court finalizes the divorce next week, Madison has no claim to anything connected to the Reed name. When that happens, the trust fully activates. He slid a small envelope across the table. Your grandfather asked that this be delivered at activation. It was heavier than it looked. Inside was a single key and a handwritten note in his square, steady script. Jake, if you are reading this, you showed the patience and judgment a Reed should. The key opens the lake house study. What you find there is your true inheritance. Use it well. I am proud of you. Grandpa. I put the note back in the envelope and let out a breath. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. What do I do next? That is up to you, he said. The foundation will need your attention, board meetings, investment decisions, but none of it is urgent. Your grandfather arranged a smooth transition. I thought it over. I want to keep a low profile until the divorce is completely final. Understood, he said. There is one wrinkle. He slid over another page. The foundation's annual gala is next month. As the new head of the Reed family, people will expect you to attend. I looked at the invitation. The Reed Cultural Heritage Foundation Annual Gala. Black tie. The usual crowd, local politicians, business owners, and the folks who live for nights like that. You look good, Madison said. Different, but good. What did you want to talk about, Madison? I asked. She flinched at the straight question. I wanted to apologize for how it ended. For what I said about you. About us. Apology accepted, I said, flat as a countertop. Is that all? Her eyes widened. Jake, please. I am trying. I made a terrible mistake. I did not know. I never imagined you were wealthy. So that is the mistake? I asked. Not the lying. Not Tyler. Not the years of making me feel small. Just that you did not realize I had money. Color drained from her face. You knew about Tyler? I suspected. Now I know. It was not serious, she said quickly. I was confused. I felt trapped. He made me feel seen, wanted, and I did not feel that at home. You seemed so content with teaching and your woodworking and our simple life. I wanted more. She looked straight at me. And now I see what I threw away. Not the money, Jake. You. Your steadiness. Your kindness. The way you backed me, even when I chased silly plans. I took a sip of coffee and let her words sit. There was a time I would have given anything to hear that. Now I felt only a distant sadness for what could have been. The divorce is final, I said. We have both moved on. Have we? She reached for my hand. I pulled mine back before she touched it. We could start over. Clean slate. I know I hurt you, but what we had was real once. It can be real again. I shook my head. No. What we had was two fantasies. Yours about the person you wanted to be. Mine about the person I thought you were. Neither of us was honest. That is not true, she said, leaning in. I loved you. I still do. Do you love me? I asked. Or do you love the idea of being Mrs. Reed now, with the life that comes with it? She recoiled like I had slapped her. That is not fair, is it? 2 weeks ago you could not wait to be rid of me. 2 weeks ago you could not wait to be rid of me, I said. Nothing has changed except you found out I have money. Everything has changed, she whispered. I listened to my mother. I listened to Tyler. They filled my head with stories about who I should be. I was wrong. Please, give me another chance. Let me prove it. I studied her face. Maybe there was some real regret under all the calculation. Maybe not. Either way, it was too late. I am sorry, Madison. The answer is no. Tears welled up. Is there someone else? Is that what this is? I almost laughed. No, there is no one else. This is about trust. You broke something we cannot repair. Anything can be fixed if both people want it enough. That is the point, I said. I do not want it anymore. I stood, left my coffee half full, and pushed in my chair. Goodbye, Madison. I hope you find what you are looking for. I did not look back as I stepped out. Spring air met me on the sidewalk, clean after the rain, a smell like new lumber. For the first time in months, I felt light. I drove straight to Rochester East High School and parked as my afternoon class was letting out. The kids spilled into the hallway with the usual mix of noise and energy. A few stayed behind to ask about the test or to talk through some drama from lunch. Ordinary things. They felt good. After the last student left, I graded papers. Circle a grammar slip. Write a quick note in the margin. Move to the next. The work cleared my head. This was the real part of my life. No drama with Madison, no talk of inheritances. Just a teacher trying to help. Principal Dana Brooks appeared in my doorway as I signed the last essay. Jake, do you have a minute? Of course, I said, setting down the red pen. What is up? She stepped in and closed the door. I just got an interesting call from the Reed Cultural Heritage Foundation. They want to fund a new history program for our district. State-of-the-art classroom resources, guest speakers, field trips, the whole package. She watched my face. They specifically named you as the teacher to lead it. I kept my expression steady. That is surprising. I do not know anyone there. Maybe so, she said with a small smile that said she did not quite buy it. Either way, it is a wonderful chance for our students. I told them we would be thrilled to accept. That is great news, I said. The kids will get a lot out of it. Yes, she said, hand on the knob. They will. Jake, Principal Dana Brooks said at the end of our talk, whatever is happening in your life, I hope it works out for the best. After she left, I sat a long time and thought about masks and names and the parts we all play. There was the version of me who taught history and fixed broken desks. There was the heir my grandfather trained in quiet ways. Both were real. Madison had rejected one without ever knowing the other existed. That was on her. 3 days later, the phone rang while I was at the lake house, sanding an old writing desk I found in one of the storage rooms. Mr. Reed. The caller said, all business. Or should I say, Mr. Reed of the Family Trust? Mr. Reed is fine, I said, setting down the sandpaper. What can I do for you, Mr. Atwood? My client, Mrs. Reed, is concerned about the divorce settlement, Mark Atwood said. Specifically, about assets that were not disclosed. She is considering legal action to reopen the agreement. I had expected this. I disclosed all assets that were mine to disclose under the name Jake Reed. I said, that is what the law required. You were aware of your inheritance when we negotiated, he said. I was aware a family trust might someday activate, I said. At the time of our divorce, I had no access to those assets and no control over them. They were not mine to list. A semantic distinction at best, he said, voice tightening. Mrs. Reed feels misled. She is welcome to try, I said calmly. Before you file anything, read the Reed family trust documents. The trust was established in 1948 with very specific rules about marital claims. It activates only after a divorce is final and only if there are no outstanding legal or financial ties to a former spouse. If Madison had contested the divorce or pursued alimony, the trust would have stayed dormant. Silence while he took that in. Furthermore, I said, the trust and the foundation assets have never been held in my personal name. They are separate legal entities tied to my maternal line and managed by trustees. Samuel Whitaker has all records ready if this goes to court. You planned this, Mark said at last, a mix of anger and reluctant respect. The quick timeline, giving her everything. I planned to protect my family's legacy, I said. As for giving Madison everything, that was honest. I wanted a clean break and nothing else. He let out a long breath. I will discuss options with my client. Off the record, Mr. Reed, this is not likely to go anywhere. Your grandfather's attorneys were very thorough. They have had generations of practice, I said. Good day, Mr. Atwood. I ended the call and went back to the desk. The steady sound of sandpaper on wood settled me. Some things can be restored if you put in the time. Trust is not always one of them. The next day, a text from Madison lit up my phone. You lied to me for years, pretending to be someone you were not. I am going to fight this. You owe me. I did not answer. There was no point. Mark would explain the limits of the law, and she would realize the plan had backfired. I turned my focus to the foundation gala. New suit ordered. Guest list reviewed. Speech drafted. Samuel Whitaker set up meetings with key board members so I could be introduced properly to the people who had managed my grandfather's work in his absence. They are impressed by your background in education, Whitaker said after one meeting. Your grandfather always said you had a natural way with students. They believe you will bring a clear voice to the foundation school programs. That is the goal, I said. There is a lot we can do, especially for districts that do not have much. The day before the gala, I submitted my resignation at Rochester East High School, effective at the end of the school year. Principal Brooks accepted it with a knowing smile. I had a feeling this was coming, she said. The Reed Foundation's new education director will have plenty to do. You knew? I asked. She laughed. Jake, I have been in education for 30 years. I know how to do homework. The timing of your divorce, the sudden interest from the foundation. It was not hard to connect the dots. She patted my hand. Your secret is safe with me, and I expect our school to be at the front of the line for grants. Absolutely guaranteed, I said. It felt like a relief to be known fully by someone and still accepted. Maybe that was what I had always wanted from Madison, to be seen as I am and loved anyway. She was not built for that. The Reed Cultural Heritage Foundation Gala took place at the Rochester Museum of Art, a building my great-grandfather helped fund a century ago. I arrived early to walk the rooms before the guests came in. Samuel Whitaker met me at the entrance, sharp in a tuxedo that looked exactly like the one he wore when I was a kid. Mr. Reed, he said with a small bow. Everything is ready. The board members are eager to meet you formally, though quite a few remember you from your visits with your grandfather. Thank you, Mr. Whitaker, I said. I appreciate your steady hand through all of this. He nodded, and for once, a rare smile creased his face. It has been my honor to serve the Reed family, Samuel Whitaker said. Your grandfather would be proud of the way you have carried yourself. We strolled through the museum galleries and paused at a few pieces. Small brass plaques credited the Reed Cultural Heritage Foundation for half the rooms we passed. My family's name was stamped into a century of art and music and history. After dinner, there will be a short ceremony, Samuel said as we stepped into the main hall. Round tables circled a small stage. Glass glowed under the chandeliers. Just a few words to introduce you as the new head of the foundation. Nothing grand. I have a brief set of remarks, I told him. Simple and to the point. Excellent. Here come our first guests. The night moved in fast clips after that. Handshakes, names, smiles that were practiced, and some that were real. Board members, city officials, business owners, all eager to meet the next Reed in charge. I did the work. Eye contact, small talk. Thank you for coming. During dinner, while I was talking with the museum director, I saw her. Madison. She stood near the entrance in a black dress that caught the light like water. She was not on the list. I had checked. Either someone brought her as a guest, or she talked her way in. Our eyes met. She tried a small smile. I did not return it. I excused myself and crossed the room. You should not be here, I said quietly. I needed to see you, she said. You have not returned my calls or messages. Because there is nothing left to say, I told her. Please leave. Not until you hear me, she said, fingers closing on my sleeve. Jake, I made the worst mistake of my life. People deserve a second chance. Not always, I said, easing her hand away. Some choices do not get a do-over. What about forgiveness? She asked. Is that not what your grandfather believed? What your family's charity work stands for? This is not about forgiveness, I said. It is about consequences. You chose your path. Now you live with it. Her face hardened. So that is it. You get to play the wounded husband, step into millions, and leave me with nothing after 8 years. You received exactly what you asked for, I said. The house, the car, everything. What else do you want? You, she hissed. Her voice cracked. The man I married. The man I loved. That man is gone, I said. Maybe he was never real. She laughed, sharp and thin, and a few nearby tables looked our way. Then this is your revenge. Parading your new life in front of me. No, I said. This is not about you at all. That is the part you never understood. My life does not orbit you. Mr. Reed, Samuel said, appearing like a stage cue. They are ready for your speech. Thank you, I said. I turned back to Madison and kept my voice even. Goodbye, Madison. Do not contact me again. I walked away. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw her slip through a side door, the black dress disappearing into a dark hallway. Good evening, I said from the podium a minute later, looking out over the crowd. Thank you for being here. I am grateful and humbled to serve as the new steward of the Reed Cultural Heritage Foundation. The words landed the way I hoped. I spoke of honoring my grandfather's work while bringing fresh energy to education. I talked about more support for local artists. I promised to help preserve Rochester's history. Plain words. Honest words. The applause sounded warm, not polite. More handshakes followed. More congratulations. A few guests mentioned they had seen Madison leave and asked if all was well. I brushed it off as a simple mix-up and changed the subject. There was no reason to hang our laundry in public. Near midnight, the room thinned out. Staff began to clear tables. I stood by a wide window and looked down at the museum garden. The sky was clear, stars bright over the city. For the first time in a long time, I felt still. She will not trouble you again, Samuel said, stepping up beside me. His timing was as precise as ever. Security has been briefed. If she tries to approach you at the foundation or any official event, they will guide her out, polite, but firm. Thank you, I said. I doubt she will try again. Madison knows when to cut her losses. Indeed. He paused. Your grandfather faced the same problem after your grandmother passed. People who wanted his company for the Reed name, not the man. How did he handle it? I asked. With the same quiet dignity you showed tonight, Samuel said. He knew real relationships cannot be bought. Friendship, love, loyalty, those are earned through character and actions. I thought about my students. I thought about Principal Dana Brooks. The few friends I kept over the years never cared about my last name or the size of a checkbook. They cared about who I was. Your grandfather would be proud, Samuel said, giving my shoulder a brief pat. Very proud. A week after the gala, a letter arrived by courier at the lake house. Madison's handwriting on the envelope was as familiar as my own. For a moment, I thought about sending it back unopened. Curiosity won. Inside was a single sheet of heavy stationery filled with her neat, looping script. Jake, I will not bother you again after this. I promise. I could not say this properly when we met. First, I am truly sorry. Not only for leaving, but for the way I treated you while we were married. You deserve better. You deserved someone who saw your kindness, your patience, and your integrity. I was blind to those things until it was too late. Second, Tyler is gone. I know that does not matter to you now, but he left as soon as the article about you ran. His so-called cryptocurrency ventures were mostly talk. He has already moved on to his next target. My mother says I should have known better. For once, she is right. Lastly, I hope you find real happiness, Jake. I hope you meet someone who loves you exactly as you are, not for what you have or what you can give. I thought I was that person once. I wish it were still true. With regret and love. Madison. I folded the letter and slid it back into the envelope. I walked to my grandfather's desk, opened the bottom drawer, and placed it beside the folder that held everything about Madison and our marriage. A chapter closed and filed with the past. That evening I sat on the dock behind the lake house and watched the sunset throw gold and red across the water. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon. There would be rain by morning. My phone buzzed. A text from Samuel Whitaker. Foundation Board approved your proposal for the new education initiative. Congratulations. I smiled and typed a simple thank you. The initiative would fund history programs in public schools across the county, putting real tools in the hands of teachers like me. People working with small budgets and big hearts. It was only the beginning of what I planned to do with the Reed legacy.